Hello, this is PseudoTC. I've been looking through all of the statistically successful elements of misfortune, such as runes, item builds, summoner spells, you name it, and I'd figured I'd share it with you, starting with the runes. The first rune page is in Domination Tree Primary and Sorcery Tree Secondary. This is a build of Sustain as well as Scaling. Sustain coming from Taste of Blood, as well as Ravenous Hunter. Taste of Blood gives you healing regardless of your damage, while Ravenous Hunter gives you healing based on the percentage of the damage you deal. Your scaling comes from Dark Harvest, Eyeball Collection, Celerity, and Gathering Storm. Dark Harvest, you would build up stacks, along with Eyeball Collection, while Gathering Storm scales into the game length, and Celerity converts your movement speed into more damage. A variation of the page would be to take Cheap Shot instead of Taste of Blood, giving up some sustain, but instead giving you some true damage to anyone who you impair their movement. Another variation is to give up Ravenous Hunter and instead go for Relentless Hunter, giving up some sustain for out of combat movement speed. Another variation of this rune page would be to give up Ravenous Hunter and instead get Ultimate Hunter, giving up some sustain for reduced cooldown for your ultimate. A final variation would be to give up some of your scaling by giving up Gathering Storm and instead going for Mana Flow Band for a little bit more sustain in the mana department so that you can poke more often. An alternative rune page that you could go with is Sorcery Primary and Precision Secondary. This page is emphasizing more about poking and less about scaling. Arcane Comet gives you the ability to occasionally launch a comet at someone that you damage. However, you're limited by whether or not you land the comet. Proccing Arcane Comet with an ability that slows, such as your E, gives you the ability to ensure that you land the comet. Mana Flow Band allows you to poke more often because it builds up your max mana pool as well as restoring a percentage of your missing mana. Celerity increases your overall movement speed as well as converting part of that movement speed into physical damage, and Gathering Storm gives you increasing damage as the game goes on. Triumph gives you some level of sustain in fights due to the fact that you are not going Domination Tree and getting the sustain runes. Coup de Grace helps you do more damage when enemies have lower health. This increases the chance of you getting your last hits on kills. While there are many summoner spells that people choose, the other options are not statistically significant in terms of their difference in win rate, so I recommend just picking the usual heal and flash. As for the order of your abilities, the most popular order is Q, W, then E, having the Q first for early poke, W for the increased attack speed and movement speed, and E last for the AoE magic damage. Alternatively, there is a statistically significant increase in win rate among the ability order E, W, Q. The early leveling up of E provides a very high slow as well as AoE magic damage. I have personally seen many different diamond and above players leveling up in this way. Oftentimes I would see this paired up with the Comet runes for extra poke. The most popular items that Misfortune tends to buy involves lethality items. The two most common items that she builds is Yumu's Ghostblade or Duskblade. You can interchange them between first and second item. Yumu's provides movement speed, allowing you to get around and kite better in fights, while Duskblade provides you more poke from bushes. That is, every time you go out of vision, you are able to do more damage. As a third item, you can go ahead and get Edge of Night, which gives you a spell shield versus a key ability. Otherwise, you can go ahead and get Bloodthirster, which gives you sustain for more survivability, also giving you a shield against burst. Stormrazor gives you more Q poke and movement movement speed, the Q poke applying to the double shot of your Q. Another item that applies to your Q is Rapid Fire Cannon. It increases the range of your Q as well as your auto range whenever it's procced. Lord Dominic, as well as Black Cleaver, is good against tanks in that it provides % armor pen. Guardian Angel provides a resurrect ability, which is very good against assassins who can one-shot you. Let's take a look at the difference between Duskblade and Yumu's Ghostblade. With Duskblade, your next basic attack against enemy champions deals a level of on-hit physical damage, as well as allows you to disable surrounding wards, as well as exposing them. On the other hand, Yumu's Ghostblade gives you a large amount of out-of-combat movement speed, as well as a percentage movement speed with its active. So Duskblade is better for poke, while Yumu's Ghostblade is better for mobility in rotations and kiting. An alternative is to get Stormrazor second instead of Duskblade. Let's take a look at the difference. Stormrazor causes your basic attack to critically strike for a certain percentage of damage, as well as 20% movement speed. On the other hand, Duskblade gives you a set amount of physical damage on hit, as long as you haven't been seen. Stormrazor scales with your attack damage, going from 140 to 200% damage via critical strike. Duskblade provides a set range of on-hit damage, between 30 and 150 bonus physical damage. As you can see, Stormrazor scales better into late game, while Duskblade has a set amount which will not increase after the 150 physical damage. And of course, you can interchange any items because builds are very fluid, and you should always build what is most important at that point in the fight. An interesting note is that at 30% critical chance, Stormrazor will do its full damage of 200%. In other words, if you buy a Rapid Fire Cannon third, your Stormrazor will be at its full capacity. Another option is to go ahead and get Black Cleaver second. What's important here is to take a look at the difference between lethality and % armor pen. As an example, 30 armor reduction against a 300 armor target will cause the damage that they're dealt to go from 25% damage to 27% damage, giving only a 2% increased damage against that high armor target. You see right away that lethality is not very good against high armor targets. While with % armor pen, 59% armor penetration against a 300 armor target will take the damage from 25% damage to 45% damage, with a 20% increased damage. So % armor pen is better versus tanks, while lethality is much better versus squishies who don't have a lot of armor to begin with. An important note to Black Cleaver is that each wave of your ultimate will apply a stack of Black Cleaver. So after 6 stacks, you'll go ahead and have full Black Cleaver stacks, turning your ultimate into a tank shredder. Now, of course, you can go for Rapid Fire Cannon third, or you can go for it second. Rapid Fire Cannon gives you 35% increased range on your next basic attack, as well as do a set amount of bonus on-hit magic damage. The on-hit damage is very similar to Duskblade, except it is magic damage instead of physical damage. The extra range allows you to poke safely from a distance. An important note about Rapid Fire Cannon is that it also increases the range of your Q ability because the range is a on-hit ability. A less common but equally successful build for Misfortune is to go Critical Strike build, going Stormrazor first, Rapid Fire Cannon second, and Infinity Edge third. As we mentioned before, Stormrazor does full 200% damage after 30% crit chance from Rapid Fire Cannon. Infinity Edge doubles your crit strike chance, as well as converting 10% of the critical strike damage to true damage. This doubles your crit chance to 60%. An interesting note about Infinity Edge is that you cannot lifesteal from true damage, so Infinity Edge will lower your lifesteal versus champions. There are a number of situational items that are successful on Misfortune. Static Shiv causes your next basic attack to spark lightning and bounce up to 5 units within 400 range of each other, dealing a set amount of bonus magic damage. It does the same exact amount of damage as rapid fire cannon, but it bounces up to 5 units. This gives you more AoE and wave clear. It's important to point out that it also synergizes with rapid fire cannon in that it allows you to trigger the energized attack on turrets. With Guardian Angel, upon taking lethal damage, you restore 50% base health and 30% max mana after 4 seconds of stasis. On the other hand, Death Dance instantly heals for 15% of all physical damage dealt, with AoE physical damage only healing about 5%. Death Dance also stores 30% of all physical and magic damage that you receive, and is taken as damage over time as true damage instead, dealing 1/3 every second. Both these items are good versus assassins who can one-shot you in fights. However, with Death Dance, you need to have some more lifesteal in your build, such as Bloodthirster, in order to build that health back up as you begin to bleed that true damage. Phantom Dancer grants ghosting and 7% movement speed while you're within a certain distance from an enemy champion. It also grants 12% damage reduction against the last enemy champion you basic attacked. The percent movement speed near enemies and percent damage reduction allows you to kite and stay alive longer in team fights. Mortal Reminder causes physical damage to inflict grievous wounds on enemy champions. This is good versus sustained champions such as Vladimir, Mundo, or any champion that has a lot of lifesteal. Maw of Malmortius will give you a magic shield if you take magic damage that reduces your max health below 30%. Once you get that shield, you temporarily will get more AD, spell vamp, and lifesteal, allowing you to sustain yourself during fights. This is very good versus burst mages, allowing you to heal up after a burst of magic damage. Blade of the Rune King gives you on-hit physical damage to your auto attacks based on 8% of the target's current health. Its active will deal a set amount of magic damage and steal a portion of the enemy's movement speed. This is especially good versus high HP targets. Another neat feature is that the percent HP damage as well as the lifesteal of Blade of the Rune King will actually apply to your Q shot because it's an on-hit ability. Bloodthirster will turn your lifesteal into a temporary shield. This shield is similar to Maw of Malmortius' shield, however it doesn't matter what type of damage. This provides good sustain in fights, as well as protecting you from burst as long as you stay in the fight and maintain the shield. Mercurial Scimitar removes all crowd control from your champion and grants you movement speed for 1 second. This is very good against a single CC in a team fight. A very neat feature of this is that even if you're airborne, the active will allow you to immediately flash away before you hit the ground. There are 3 types of boots that are successful on Misfortune. One option is to go for Boots of Swiftness. This decreases the amount of slow that is applied to you. But if you're looking for more DPS, you can focus on Berserker Greaves, which gives you increased attack speed. And finally, Mercury Treads will allow you to decrease the duration of any CC dealt to you. It's important to think about what boots you need the most in that particular match. I've gone over a lot of information in a short amount of time, however I hope that this helps you figure out what is best on Misfortune and that it helps you succeed in your matches. I'm PseudoTC and I hope you have a wonderful day.